The first week of studying 2 Chronicles, we looked at the elements of Solomon's prayer of dedication and praise, teaching us to have a heart of praise. Last week we looked at worshiping and offering, teaching us to have a grateful, generous heart. This week we look at living out God's ordinances, teaching us to have an obedient heart. God appears to Solomon and says, "I heard and accept your prayer, and I have chosen this place as a house of worship and sacrifice." Solomon, the leader, is charged with guiding the people of Israel. As leader, he carries the hopes, the fears, the bounty, and the suffering of the nation on his shoulders. So God says to him, "If I ever bring about drought and famine and plague on my people," noting that these were his special people, he says, "and if they humble themselves and pray, seeking my presence, I will be there." God warns Solomon that the nation will face the consequences associated with sinful acts and sinful decisions. Like a father with unconditional love, sometimes we must face the harsh results of our ways. But if they humble themselves, recognizing God, recognizing their sins, and seeking forgiveness, God will forgive. As I think about people I have represented as a lawyer, not many of them, if any, have ever been picked up while following the ordinances of God. Even those charged and found innocent were generally not following God's word. But those who humble themselves and seek God, God will accept. There is always hope in God, and we must always seek to have a closer relationship. God assures Solomon that he has heard his prayer and that he will continue to hear the prayers of the people and forgive the people, healing their land. Then and now, God is a constant friend, our safety net. Times of deepest, darkest despair, God is still there for us. Solomon's prayer implores God to have his eyes open and his ears attentive to the prayers and needs of his people. God assures him that he is awake day and night, attentive to their prayers, that he has chosen and sanctified his temple. God's name is stamped on that temple forever, and that his eyes are on it, and that his heart is always in it. But a building is an earthly symbol of an omnipotent God. It does not actually contain an uncontainable God. God counsels the king, "If you live understanding that I am always present with you, if you live with a pure heart and pure actions, living a life that is set apart." In essence, if Solomon is a king that seeks to be attentive and obedient to the guidance of God, is using God's judgment, following God, then God will bless his rule. As a leader, each day we must seek God's guidance as we lead in any context. Each day brings new challenges, new opportunities to demonstrate God's love in the way we address the problems, in the way we address people. In a corner in my office, my daily prayer as departmental secretary includes a request to let employees and citizens, through me, witness what Jesus would look like as a secretary. As a leader, we must seek God's guidance and let our will disappear. God warns Solomon that if you or your sons ignore my guidance and judgment and take on alien gods, then these promises he has made for Israel will be gone. In essence, he is saying there are consequences to our bad decisions, to our bad actions. And once we walk down that path, we can expect to face those consequences. In fact, God tells Solomon that if you stray, I will wipe Israel off the map. He stresses the point that it is not the temple that he wants. He wants the heart of the people. God says, as splendid as this temple is, he will reject the temple if the people fail to walk obediently. Because God is complete, he warns Solomon, rather than the temple serving as a legacy of your effort, if you depart from my ways, I will make the temple an example, so that when travelers come by, they will wonder what happened, what caused the temple to be destroyed. God still wants us to walk obediently. There are consequences for our disobedient acts, but as we go further and further down a path of disobedience, we must always remember that there is a God and there is hope. And if we sincerely, humbly turn back from our wicked ways and seek a closer relationship with him, God will save us. That's the lesson for this week. Bye.